Okay, my presentation today will be given in English, but I think you have translation as well. But I do have my slides in both Korean and English, so I'll try to show the Korean slide while I'm presenting it in English. Like this. So, hi, I'm Andy Carvel. I'm CEO and co-founder at Feature Mobile Growth Consultancy. We're a company based in Berlin, in Germany, but working with clients worldwide to help them solve some of their growth challenges. My background, I'm actually not German, I'm from England. I grew up in the UK, and I was in the games industry for many years, making mobile games, most notably for Nokia, back in the early days of mobile. More recently, I moved to Berlin, I joined SoundCloud, I was working on mobile growth there. And it was there that I met my co-founder, Moritz, and we set up Feature together 8 years ago, also in Berlin. Oh. So, Feature is as I said, a mobile growth consultancy. We're kind of a new style of agency. We deliver consultative services and solutions for global brands in the B2C space, both apps and games. Basically, any brand that wants to succeed on mobile, we can help them do that. This is an example of some of the brands that we've been working with over the last few years. So today I'm going to show you a new technology that we've developed called PressPlay. And I'll try to explain why I believe it's the future. And with that, I'm going to practice my only bit of Korean that I'm going to speak in the presentation today. Hopefully I get this right. So, PressPlay가 Start again. PressPlay가 미래입니다. So, I'll explain what... Thank you. I'll explain what PressPlay is in a moment. But first I want to just kind of introduce the question of exactly what is the challenge with the app stores right now. As most of you will know, there's a huge problem with not just discovery, getting your app seen in the first place, either through organic and paid search or through paid advertising. It's expensive, it's difficult to get visibility. But then when you have that visibility, you also have a problem with conversion, right? So conversion from somebody visiting your store page to actually installing your app or your game. And it's this conversion step which can bring the most efficiencies to your marketing if you get it right, because all of your traffic comes through your store pages. Yeah, I'll put the Korean version up. So any traffic that lands on your store page, if you're able to increase the amount of, the percentage of users who end up becoming users of your app, who actually end up installing, this becomes a multiplier on your return on investment, your return on ad spend. It reduces your effective CPI. So brands and apps and games spend a lot of time and money and manual effort to optimize their store page on an ongoing basis. Like, how do you do that? Well, use something like this framework that we developed at Feature, the CRO loop. Essentially, it's a constant cycle of testing new assets, trying to find ones which have the highest performance, A/B testing, assets for each of your markets, for each of your regions, sometimes for special holiday events, custom store listings on Google Play, or product page optimization on iOS, for example. And it's an ongoing process, and some companies have big teams just doing ASO. And just doing conversion rate optimization on their store pages. And we do a lot of that at Feature. We can offer that as a service to many of our customers. But we also thought, okay, maybe there's a way that we can leverage some of the AI technology to improve some of to bring some efficiencies to this process. And that's what we did. This is what we call PressPlay. And these are some of the results that we've got in the first few months of developing and launching this solution. So I'm going to tell you a little bit today about how we built PressPlay. Sorry, I keep forgetting to put the Korean slide up. So I'm going to tell you a bit today about how we're actually optimizing for, how we're helping these customers to bring massive marketing efficiencies to their conversion rate optimization and subsequently to their ability to create additional organic installs and also to get much more efficiency on their paid marketing spend. I really believe this is the future. So I'm going to try it again with the PressPlay가 미래입니다. There we go. So, what's it all about? Right, so we can optimize at the moment with the PressPlay solution these 4 asset types. So this is the icon, the screenshot order, the preview image, and also the short description. Now soon we'll be able to completely AI generate the screenshots, but for now we're just doing order testing with the screenshots. What we find is that the most impactful asset that we can optimize is the icon, and so a lot of my examples will be shown around the icon, but we can optimize already these 4 asset classes, completely automated and at scale. So it looks like this, basically. This is an example from a company, a game called Sky Warriors. Sky Warriors is from Wildlife Studios. This was the first game that we optimized using PressPlay. This example on the right, this is from Find It, which is a finding objects, hidden objects game. So it's like they have these very busy pictures in the game. This is the icon, and these are the new icons generated from PressPlay. So the way it works, basically, is that we create and train a custom model which can then start to build AI-generated assets from understanding of your app, your brand guidelines, your visual style, and any other inputs that we can give it. The more data that we can train the model with at the start, including past experiment data, user reviews, really anything that can help to inform the AI model about like what it is that makes your game or your app more special, more unique, what users think about it, what you've tried in the past that's worked well and what hasn't. These are all great inputs into the model, because then the model starts to be able to produce new assets in the same style as your icon or your feature graphic, and it can start to iterate on those, based not just on generating random images, but rather based on hypotheses about what's going to convert better. And then the real magic, not magic, but like the real value, I think, of this platform is that it's learning all the time. It's reinforcing its learning by running lots of experiments, and it gets to a very high cadence of experiments and a very high volume. So Wildlife Studios, the folks who made the Sky Warrior game that I just showed, they came with these 4 problems, this kind of problem set that they wanted to understand. Can they scale their experimentation? Can they get better reporting and consolidation of learnings from the experiments that they've run? And can they automate some of the deployment of experiments? If any of you have run experiments on the Google Play Store, actually, let's make this a bit more interactive. If anybody can put their hand up if you've run experiments before on the Google Play Store. Okay, some hands going up. Yep, quite a few of you. So, yeah, you'll know if you've done that, particularly if you actually were the person uploading those experiments, right? There's a lot of clicks around in the Google Play console. You have to upload assets, change assets. It's quite manual. We've automated all of that. That's not specifically with AI, but rather through the fact that we've also been running thousands of experiments over the last 8 years on Google Play. We've got pretty good at automating some of the stuff to read and write to the Google Play Store beyond what you can just do with the API. So we've found ways to take away a lot of the manual work involved in pushing experiments live, reading the results, and killing experiments early if they're not working. Okay, so, and this is exactly how PressPlay works. It creates a lot of tests. So we started off with this original icon you see on the left. PressPlay was soon creating new icons in the, understanding a little bit about what the game is about, and creating new icons that it wanted to test. Okay, now the testing looks something like this. So we can see And what we see here is also the results from these tests. So we can see we had the first icon there. Then the next round of tests, actually none of these succeeded. Like they were all failures and that they were killed very quickly. What we do, the way that the system works, is it looks very quickly for a breakout win, a really great result. And if we're not seeing positive uplift within 1 to 2 days, we kill the experiment. We don't leave it running for a week. It kills it very quickly, then it tests the next asset. So we have a backlog of assets to test all the while, maybe 50 to 100 new assets in each class, so icons in this case. We're testing new assets all the time. So we're quickly killing the experiments that are not winning, and we're able to iterate very quickly towards positive results. So you can see by the second iteration, it was already starting to get positive results. And then the third iteration, we're seeing 16.5%, double-digit percentage increase in conversion rate. This is conversion to install across the whole of the store listing, just from changing the icon. So this was very impactful, very quickly. Okay, now, fortunately, we saw that it wasn't just a one-off, that we were able to do this for Sky Warriors. We're actually able to do this in many different games, many different scenarios. We're mostly working with game studios right now. We are also working with a few apps, including some of the Adobe apps. So this is not just for games, but we find that for games it's particularly valuable because games companies are usually putting a lot of performance marketing spend also behind driving installs, and this brings efficiencies to their marketing spend as well. So we see with Found It, we were also able to get to a winning icon pretty quickly that was giving a really nice uplift. And also for Avakin Life. Now we were actually able to improve on this icon quite a bit, which I'll show you in a moment. It also works with feature graphics. We see slightly more moderate increases in conversion rate through the feature graphic optimization. But of course, we should do this too. And of course, again, these are generated automatically. And it's AI. It can, of course, also speak lots of languages. So all of the short descriptions can be translated and optimized for the different markets, also more or less automatically. I say more or less because we would also encourage some supervision. Whilst it is possible to run PressPlay on complete automatic mode, and just let it run and get you to better results, we usually find that most of our customers want to keep an eye on which assets it's testing. They want to be able to maybe pull some out and supervise it and say, okay, don't run this one is bad, this one is good, this one is bad. And you have that control also. So yeah, as I mentioned, it's more than just generative AI. There's a few things that it can do. Sorry, I have to switch back to the English to remind myself here. Okay, so yeah, it achieves incredible scale. So the theoretical maximum of experiments that you could run concurrently using PressPlay is 505. You need a lot of traffic for that because it's running these experiments using your organic traffic. So more typically, we're running more like around 40 or 50 experiments at a time, depending on the amount of traffic that the customer has. But you could technically get up to 505. As I mentioned earlier, it's got this monitoring, these early kill rules. Sorry, I keep switching back to read my text here. And yeah, really the key thing is this bottom one, the AI assistant, the fact that it's constantly learning from every test that it runs. So the more assets that it tests, it's not just testing them blindly and killing the ones that don't work. It's comparing the one that won with the one that lost, and then using image analysis to try to understand what was different about the one that won. That informs a new hypothesis, which it then tests with the next round of assets that it creates. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about with the smart assistant. So every time it runs an experiment, it learns something. And it also consolidates those learnings, which can then be used by the team. And I have an example of that coming up for Wildlife Studios. So, with Wildlife Studios, with this Sky Warriors app, game rather, what they found was that this winning icon, which you can see here, it's over on the left, or right here as well. So we can see it's really busy, right? It's got a lot of stuff all around the side, like, excuse me. It's not usual that you would create an icon like this for a game, because a lot of this detail, this really fine detail, won't be seen very, very clearly when it's on a, when it's on a phone screen and it's part of a whole Google Play product listing page. So you might ask, okay, why would this win? And that's exactly what Wildlife Studios wanted to know. We could see the results; they were very good. We wanted to understand why is this performing better. So Wildlife Studios surveyed 600 of their users who had installed this app using the new icon, and they asked them exactly this question: Why did you install it? Like, what did you like about this icon? Why is it better than this one we were using before, which just had a plane on it? And you know what they said? They said, okay, well, we like all this detail because it shows me that it's a game. I wanted a game, and now when I see this icon, I know it's a game where I can fly a plane. And the other icons, I thought maybe it's a flight simulator, or maybe it's an application about airplanes. This one, I know it's a game. So this was really valuable insight. This was something that the AI couldn't tell Wildlife Studios. They had to go ask their users about this. So I would always really encourage you to do some qualitative research to inform and to augment what you know just from the data, because the data won't tell you everything. So they took this information, this learning, they gave that to their creative team, and they said, hey, this is what the users are telling us. Now, maybe we can apply this to our tennis game and to our sniper game. And that's exactly what they did. And they saw even better results when their internal design team created new icons for these. So these weren't done by PressPlay. This was done by the Wildlife Studios art team. But they used the same learnings that PressPlay got from testing lots of icons. So we can see that some of these learnings are actually transferable to other products. A couple more examples from some of the more difficult challenges that we face were around game characters. Okay, we're working with some companies that have maybe licensed IP, where they need to be really careful about keeping the same style, the same look and feel, and representing characters authentically. So for this, we find that actually having additional assets, additional guidelines, additional information from the IP holder on how we can represent the character properly really helps to train the model to create better new variants of the character. This is one of the more difficult challenges with using Gen AI. And what we saw actually with, in this case, with Avakin Life, we got some really nice results with with DALL-E 3, which is the first Gen AI model that we used for creating new character icons. And then we thought, okay, maybe we can actually try a different model, Stable Diffusion, and actually create like in the same style and take this same character and make them look like hyper-realistic, like almost like a photo. And these icons performed really, really well. Now you could argue that it's a bit dangerous to represent like the game like you see on the right here, because maybe it's a bit too far away from the original experience in the game. That's something that you need to weigh up when you're testing these things. But from a conversion perspective, it worked really, really well. And a lot of those users who installed the game ended up really liking it. So arguably, I think this was a good choice. Now, one of the ways that we can train the model rather to be able to use these characters in new environments and to still represent the characters reliably is to get additional assets from the customer. So in this case, we got a lot of additional 3D models, a lot of additional static images of the character in different poses, in different situations, which we were then able to then train the model that it could then transplant that character into totally new scenarios, such as this one where the character's riding a horse. We never had any original assets where the character was riding a horse, but if it gets enough training data, it's able to then transplant that character into new scenarios, such as riding a horse, which enables them to create a whole set of new assets. So if you want to read a bit more about how we've actually approached this and go into a lot more technical detail than I'm going to do in this talk, you can read about it on our blog. It's at feature.com. And I also want to give a recommendation to this book. If you're interested in exploring generative AI and getting more out of Gen AI, this book by Mike Taylor, who actually helped us with some of the early development of PressPlay, it's a really good book. I highly recommend it. So I already mentioned supervision and correction being important. Here's a great example. If you just look very shortly at these images, they both look fine. The one on the left is the original. The one on the right is a new variant. But if you look a bit closer, you'll see this lady has an extra hand hanging off her knee. She has kind of 2 feet that are stuck together. There's some weird stuff going on here. Also, the sandwiches are kind of half in a basket, half in a bowl. It's just, there's stuff that's wrong. So it requires still some supervision and correction. So this would be something where ideally, as part of the manual supervision process, somebody would notice this and say, okay, no, we kill this. We're not going to run this as an experiment. So ideally, this would not reach the Google Play Store. It would be already vetted by a human. So if we come back to the problem statement, the original set of problems which Wildlife Studios wanted to solve, I can confidently say that we were able to solve all of these problems, not just for Wildlife Studios, but for all of the companies that have so far been running proof of concepts or into full production with PressPlay. And I've already showed this slide, but I think it's worth repeating that PressPlay is really driving some crazy results. Really good impact, first and foremost, but also a really really high level of throughput. And these two things are very highly related. The amount of experiments that you can run and the amount of impact and wins that you're going to get, they're very highly correlated. You need to run a lot of experiments to find the winners. And PressPlay allows you to do that at scale very efficiently. So that's pretty much the end of my presentation. This is just a little bit about Feature, some of the other services that we offer. And if you'd like to connect with me during the event, or I'm in Seoul actually till the end of the week. If you'd like to arrange a meeting or just have a chat to discuss more about PressPlay or anything else that I've presented today, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I don't have any business cards on me because my luggage didn't make it to Seoul. I hope it's going to arrive at some point. But yeah, you can add me on LinkedIn or just find me around at the event today. I would love to speak to you. So, thanks. That's it for me. 감사합니다.